What's up, everybody? It is episode number 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Almost two full fingers. I mean, two full hands of a podcast episode. Welcome to the Two Young Pastors podcast. My name is Elijah, and I am joined by the amazing, the illustrious, the always on point, well dresser, none other than Jajuan Sanders. What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's good, man? What's good, bro? It's always a pleasure to be with you once again. I'm feeling real good, man. Feeling energized, feeling ready to go.
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to 2025. Am I
Uh,
excited for that? Yeah, I'm excited. And listen, here's the reason why I'm excited. I'm excited because New Year always means a chance to reset, a chance to
Apparently,
reset.
yeah.
You know, and I think that resetting is always a good thing. Want to reset, try to lose weight again, because
I just say it like that.
the reason is because I told
Yeah.
myself, like last year in 2023, I felt that I figured it out. I lost like 23 pounds last year, thank
You
God.
did. Yeah.
And I like 23, but like 5 of those pounds weren't like real like I worked real hard for that.
Yeah.
5 of those pounds were truly like I was on a fast with my church, and
Yeah.
so like that's not sustainable. So I really lost 18 pounds. All right, really lost 18. But I gained back 10 this year, and so I've
Yeah.
been like hovering over the past couple of months at 280. And
Mhm.
so I need to get down because I'm trying to be smexy, in my suit. Is it appropriate for pastors to say stuff like that?
I think it's
That you're
okay.
trying to
Yeah.
be attractive, because I like when I do dress up, I desire to look nice.
I
I
think that's
desire
cool.
to,
I think that's cool.
and I say this because everyone says that pastors have to be modest, and I believe that I am modest to a certain extent. I'm covered. I mean, the price might not always be modest, but no
The
one
price?
knows how much. Yeah, like I mean, like no one knows how much my suits cost. They just say, "Oh, that looks nice, Pastor," and it's just
Yeah.
like a thank you. Like, and I feel like it has to look nice because
Yeah.
in my context, my church members want a pastor. They
Yeah.
desire for their pastor to dress a certain type of way.
You're right.
If I wear jeans to church, my members are like, ugh,
You lose them.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good because it's another opportunity to, really figure out what are we gonna do. And just got the news that the new senior pastor of my church is Dwayne Frazier. So
That's true.
clap for him, clap for him, clap for him, clap for him. Extremely happy for him. And yeah, we'll see what God will do for me
Yeah.
in the new year. These seasons are always in limbo. They're always in limbo for
Mhm.
me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. So,
Man, yo,
how about you?
I
How
want
are
to
you feeling?
backtrack real quick. To what you were talking about
Ooh,
the
ooh,
suits
ooh, ooh, ooh.
and things like that. Because like a lot of stuff popped up in my mind, right? Because
Okay, okay.
I see what you're talking about. Congratulations to your new lead pastor. I know that he's about to start soon. He dresses well too, man. He dresses well too.
He
He
does.
he wears the double-breasted suits. He
Oh,
does a
wow.
great job. He preaches well. He's a great pastor. But you're absolutely right, man. Like and if you want to get spiritual, man, right? Like we are talking about even quotes, right? From spiritual leaders. And one of the spiritual leaders that I read in the How to Preach book, right? It's like the book that you get when you are in undergrad.
Yeah.
One of the things that they say that the preacher says in the forward is that the preacher has to look like the word is in effect in his life. And he said that if the preacher goes up and dresses like the word has not changed his life, right? Then the message that he's saying won't have the full effect that it could have. Like the way that he phrased it is, and I have the book right there. The way that he phrased it is the preacher has to look good. He said it doesn't matter what brand or like what they're wearing. He's even talking about their body. He's like the preacher has to look fit, has to look physically adequate, like the word is in his life, so that when people hear
You
the
know
word,
what?
they're like, oh my gosh, like whatever this person is doing, guy or girl, right? Like I want what they have in their life, because
Mm,
they're so enamored. Because like, let's be honest, we're all physical creatures, right? We're all attracted to something, and
yeah,
and one of the thing that the book is bringing out, bro, watch. This is even before the author starts talking about different styles of preaching and different ways of preparing a sermon. This is all before that.
yeah.
He's saying if you don't have your physical self together, he's like that's more important right now. Like get that together and then start thinking about the techniques of preaching. Um,
Dude, that's real. That's
what?
real. I mean, so what he's telling me is that I don't have my life together. Like I like message received. See, this is why in 2025, like I gotta lose like 50 pounds, like or 60. Cause like I want the people in the audience to be able to be inspired
Yeah,
just by how I look.
just
I
about how you
want them to
look.
be like, I want to be like, who's that? He he looks like he knows the Lord.
Yeah.
Like he looks like he's been parlaying with the Lord.
He's been walking. He's been walking.
He's been not just walking. You got to give different. He's been sauntering with the Lord.
Mm, mm,
He's
mm.
been journeying with the
Journeying.
Lord. Like you got to get
Mm.
you got to get like extra. You know how some pastors those wordsmiths,
Yeah, yeah.
how they'll say one word but they'll find 17 different words,
Ooh,
to match that one word or to
yeah.
communicate that particular sentence. They'll just keep going and finding descriptor after descriptor, idea after idea,
Idea.
simply to
Yeah.
point you to that one thing. And
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
like, man, it got to be exact. So, and that's
Yep.
how I want it to be
Yeah.
when individuals see me
Yep.
about to bring the word. Like as I'm walking to stage, as I stand up, and if I am wearing a suit that day, I wanna button the suit,
Yeah.
button the
The
suit, and you know
hook.
pull that, make sure that everything's crisp and just right. Also, I've been seeing certain individuals talk about or show like garters. Don't you know? I don't know if you know what a garter.
Yes.
Do you know what a garter is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bro? I've been interested in like getting a garter. And the reason why I've been interested in getting a garter is because of the fact that like garters like can make sure that like your shirt is tight at all times. Like you see how my shirt looks right now, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
tight. Like like it's tight right now, right? Versus like if I just actually let it loose like this, you can see some of the wrinkles. And
Mm-hmm.
so like we don't want that. We want it to be tight. We want it to be tight.
Tight.
So that like when I go up on stage, like with a suit and a nice tie on, right? Everything just looks crisp and everything looks sharp. We want sharp,
Yeah.
especially like the super hardcore Adventist conservative old people, the people that been in the church all their lives. Let's be honest. They've been in
Yeah,
the church
yeah.
all their lives, right? And so they know the word, but apparently they won't be able to hear the word from you unless you come dressed a certain way. I'm
Yeah.
talking about those people. I'm throwing shade at you. I'm throwing
Yeah,
shade at you.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
you
yeah.
super Christians, not stupid Christians. You super
Super.
Christians. You know, super Christians. I
Man.
heard a pastor call them that before. So yeah, man, that's what I think about that. What do
Hey,
you think
bro.
about that, man?
So, some messages can only be received when you're wearing a double Windsor knot, you know? Like some messages can only be received when you're wearing a full three-piece suit, you know?
I heard Myron Edmonds say that if Jesus were to come here today, he said that he doesn't think that the people of God or some religious leaders would like him that much. And when you said what you just said just now, it reminded me of the fact that if Jesus were here today, some people in our church would have a problem with Jesus, because I don't
Yeah.
know if Jesus cares so much about the three-piece suit as much as some of our brothers and sisters do. God bless their soul. God bless
Yeah.
their soul.
Yeah, man, that reminded me at Pelic, bro, Noah Washington, he was preaching, I think on Tuesday night. No, on maybe Monday night. And he preached this sermon, bro. And
Yep.
at the beginning of his sermon, he was like, um, he was saying how Jesus, if if he was to come into our church,
Yeah.
how we have pushed out some people. And the phrase that he said, it was, the Jesus that we speak about is not the same Jesus that we read about. And
Mm.
like that like made me like go back. And then my dad was in the same room listening as Noah said that. And then my dad was like, "What's he saying?" I'm confused. And then once I explained to him, my dad was like, "Oh, he's right. Like the Jesus that we speak about sometimes is not the same one that I read
Sheesh.
about." And I was like,
That's rough.
man,
That's
man,
rough. It's rough out here. It's rough out here in these streets, man.
I'm
And
with
I
you.
think that is true. It's true, man. It's true. I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I wish I knew an answer. But like, I'm learning that this is what the church is.
Yeah,
Like until Jesus comes, the people of God will always be dysfunctional.
yeah,
Like, and it took me a long time to really understand that. Like, I understand that there's some individuals who might have church hurt, who
hmm,
might have some issues, surrounding like the church and things like that, because they've either experienced some pain, they probably experienced some trauma. By the way, y'all, please don't disregard this, okay? Like, I'm fixing my house. I'm fixing it, y'all. I'm
I didn't
fixing it,
see it until
okay?
you pointed it out.
So Oh, well, so my ceiling, my ceiling is about to fall down. Okay. But give me till after Christmas and it won't be there no more. So just give me a little bit of time
Hey,
for the come up, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But
yeah,
anyway, going back to what we were talking about, right? Going back
yeah,
to
yeah,
what we
yeah,
were
yeah.
talking about. What were we talking about? Because I
We
forgot, because
we
I
were
got distracted
talking,
by the pole,
we were talking,
the wooden
man,
pole.
about how if Jesus came to the church today, would he, number one, recognize it the way that he left it, and
Yes,
and
yes,
two,
that's it.
and two, is the church a place that would receive Jesus if he
Yeah.
came today?
All right. So secondly, all right, before we hop into that, I see you looking at my watch. Don't judge how many calories I've burned. Okay. I see you doing it. All right. And I'm not just talking about you, Elijah. I'm talking about the viewers. I'm talking about the viewers. I can see you being nosy and seeing
Hold
how
up, I gotta
many,
see.
how many. Listen, if you really want to know, all right, you see that it says 460, and I've been active for 4 minutes, standing for quote unquote 11 hours. But these watches, you can't count on them. They're not
Huh?
perfect. These watches are not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. So what I was going to say earlier, okay, I'm on one. You want to know what happened? So we went to Cheesecake Factory today, y'all.
Yeah.
Every month we have area meeting. We have area meeting. What is area meeting? I think we talked
What
about
is
this
it?
already, but just to give you a reminder,
What is it?
in our area, the DC metro area, our churches in this area, we meet together and we talk about and we get knowledge from the top of the conference. Our area leader, Dr. Marcus Harris, love the guy,
Hmm.
love the guy.
Amen.
Shout out to the great Doc, right? So he shares important conference information with us, and it's just an opportunity for us to come together, just to make sure that one, we're good. Because pastors, it's very easy for us to be struggling, and so it's good to be united with the brethren and
Hmm.
sisterin. So that's one thing, but also just to be able to make sure that if we are trying to do certain things together, we do. And typically afterwards, we go out to eat, specifically at Cheesecake Factory. And
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake Factory, it's actually really nice. It's grown on me. Here's the reason why, Elijah.
Yeah.
I remember, I remember, I read somewhere that if you take a girl out on a date to Cheesecake Factory, you don't really care about her,
Bro, I disagree.
especially if it's a first date. And see, the reason is because Cheesecake Factory is for basic people.
That's
And so,
incorrect.
if you take a girl out on a first date to Cheesecake Factory, it means that you're really not trying. If you take her to Cheesecake Factory, that's what I've been
Yeah.
told. I've
Can I?
read it on the internet.
I've seen it too, bro. And can I just say,
Please,
and this is a hot take. It's a hot
that's
take.
a
It's
hot
a hot
take.
take. If
Hot take.
cheesecake is not good enough for you on a first date, I don't want to date you
Yeah.
anyway.
Uh,
Hot take.
uh, uh. You
Hot
know what's
take.
crazy? We don't really got a lot to be to stand on. Like we're pastors. I
Yeah.
don't know how many people actually want to really date a pastor.
Dang. Are you rejecting me? That's
Like
insane.
hear me, hear me, hear me. Like how many people like we've talked about this before that some
That's true.
individuals found out that you were a pastor and they first saw you and they were like, oh, a cute Indian. Hello,
I
is
know,
that
right?
is
A little
is
brown
that
cookie.
Danjo I see? Like, is
Yeah.
that a little
Yeah.
arranged marriage I see? Sorry,
Yeah.
that's great.
I've been called Zane from One Direction before by a comedy guy. I don't know if that was a joke in a comedy club, but
Wow, really?
yeah, he was like, "And One
I
Direction
have
over there, Zane."
I I actually have to let you know that as a black man, I do not know what any of the members of One Direction look like. I
I
must be
don't,
extremely honest with
I
you. I
don't
am too
think,
black for that.
I don't think
Like
that's a black thing.
I want
I
you to
just think they're not plugged. I don't think that's a black thing.
I as a black male, all right. I
I,
don't know who they are.
I, I would wager that there
I
are
know
a
that
lot
there's
of
a
black
Harry
men.
Styles.
Uh-huh.
I know that there's a Harry Styles. I know that there's a Zayn, and I know that these two individuals have
Zane.
gotten popular.
Yeah,
And I know that Harry apparently dresses like he dresses
in a certain way,
in a very
particular.
in a particular way that
Yeah,
that might present in another way,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't want to be rude to anyone out there, you know what I'm saying? He
I don't know
um
what. Yeah, I don't know what term to use. I think that's what, because I don't think
I
he's come
actually
out as
don't.
anything.
Yeah, but I think I've
He
seen
has a
him wear a
girlfriend.
dress before,
Yeah,
you know. I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it and I
I
said,
have.
"Oh,
Interesting.
okay." Now, I don't remember what his face looks like, to be honest.
Yeah. Now
But I
Zane,
know,
Zane looks like this.
okay, you know,
That's insane, man. Straight ops, bro.
like let me let me my handy dandy iPad. So his name is
Okay,
just
whoa, whoa,
Zane.
whoa. Look. I was told by a comedian, okay, in New York at the Comedy Cellar. I had
Pastor, you went to the comedy cellar?
yeah, multiple times too, bro. My cousin lived in New York, and we always bought tickets every time I went up to go to the Comedy Cellar. If you don't know what the
He said
Comedy Cellar
he
is,
said that you look like him.
yeah, that's
It's
we're
a
not.
little that's a little racist. Just that's a little.
Oh, I thought that was going in a completely different direction.
I if you don't know, I'm putting his face. I'm putting his face right next to yours. So I'm using this is he got the light skin face and everything. He got the light skin face and everything. So I'm like, so just let's no. Scroll up. Scroll up.
I was trying to match his face.
Is he Indian? Is
I
he
have
Indian?
no idea, dude. I've never searched that man up in my life.
Okay. I did not know he looked like that, but that's an attractive man. That's an attractive man. Um, I can see why he's heading in one direction. Um,
Yeah,
but I okay. So seriously though,
yeah.
right?
I forgot what we were
As a
talking about.
black man, I do not know what.
I don't think it's a black issue. I just think you're not plugged into that music. I'm not
Hear me,
either.
hear me, hear me. I didn't say that it's a black issue.
Uh-huh.
Don't inflate this.
But you
I'm
said as
just
a black
saying.
man. Maybe just say as a man. As a man. Because I feel like
There are
that's more of
some
a man thing.
there are some men out there who like One Direction music. But I think
I'm
that
not.
as a black man, it decreases the chances. It decreases the chance.
I I feel like that's a man thing, you know? It's a man
Elijah,
thing. But
all my
actually,
life I had to fight. What is that reference from? All my
all my
life
life
I
I've
had to
had to
fight.
fight. Uh, uh, uh,
Come on, Pastor. Come on, Pastor of a black church. Come on.
uh, uh, uh. Dude, I'm missing it right now.
What color are you wearing?
Purple.
What movie is it?
Oh, okay, color purple.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, all right. Now that we've gotten past y'all judging me, on my watch,
I
and now that we're past One Direction,
I feel
and
like
you
you're
looking
judging
like
yourself.
Zayn,
This is like I never looked at the watch, never looked at the post. I feel like and this is
all
just
right,
me feeling.
for all the viewers, I need you to just rewind like 5 to 7 minutes. I think that's how long we've been on this. All right, 5 to 7 minutes. And what I want you to do, I want you to notice that when I did this a few times, you'll notice that his eyes went down like that.
It's because my
Like,
this right here is my camera, and I have it right next to your face, so I can't see anything other than your face. Like, okay, this is
everyone, what?
me staring at your face. This is me looking down at the camera. Your face, down at the camera. Your face, down at the camera.
Everyone, welcome to the Team Young Pastors podcast. My name is Jajuan Sanders, and I'm just, and I'm chilling now. Yes.
Man, now that we're here, and you brought it up. You brought it up. So,
Wearing jewelry. You better watch out. Wearing jewelry. Gonna
man,
upset the Saints, the Super Christians.
upset. Even at home, man. Even at home. You you
Yeah,
you brought this up, and now I want to go there. You
yeah.
brought it up,
Let's
and
do
now
it.
I want to go there.
It's a sticky
Uh,
one. It's a sticky one.
it is. You mentioned that you were a black man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't you tell?
I mean, yeah, I, I think the majority of us could tell. Now,
Thank God.
what
If you would have said I don't see color, I would have been like, ah!
you know what? I was this close. I was this close to but we haven't got there yet in terms of the podcast to make those jokes yet. But one day, as we push the envelope and our
Yes, as we
listeners get
do.
used to us and our humor, I feel like we'll get there. And then
Yes,
neither of
yes,
us,
everyone.
mainly me, won't get canceled. Now, here's the thing that I want to talk to you about is
Yeah.
who is Jajuan? Who is
Who's
Jajuan?
Jawan?
Who is Jajuan? How do you spell your name correctly? How do you say it correctly? I know that I've been in some rooms and I've heard I've heard different pronunciations of your name, and I've heard
Yeah.
Jajuan, I've heard Jajan. Like I've heard a lot
Oof,
of different pronunciations
oof.
of your
You
name,
sure?
but
You sure I was in the room?
I don't think you were in the room because then they would have asked you or they would have said it.
Mercy, Lord. Just butchering the name. Just
Butchering it.
butchering. I've been called JJ1. I've been called Jajuan. I've been
Mhm.
called Jaquan. Literally Jaquan. Or I've been called Jajon.
They added a
You
cue,
know.
bro. That's insane.
Yeah. Who is Jawan? Yeah, that's a very important question. And as we are in my bedroom, yes, wooden beam and all, this is who I am. As you can see, this is my bedroom. I'm a man of many talents. I'm a man of many passions. If you can just see, this is an accent wall, a wooden accent wall that I have created. Um, you know, I am a Bath and Body Works shopper. Yes, that's coffee and whiskey, but they're not sponsored. They're not sponsoring us. And if you look behind me, depending on which way I turn, other way. That right there, those two things. Oh, I'm a Lego enthusiast. I'm a Lego enthusiast. And if I go all the way right there, that right there,
Hey,
that is a Ravens. That is a Ravens helmet.
yeah,
And
yeah,
why? It's because we love us some Baltimore Ravens. We love it. We love it.
yes.
But in a real, I'm Jajuan, man. Jajuan. 29 this year. 29. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Born in 1995, and uh, over the
Hmm.
years,
Hmm.
I've learned a few things.
Yeah.
I've unlearned a few things,
Hey,
and I've had to relearn a few
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
So that's what I would say. I think that's a good start.
Of
Does
who
that
Jawan is?
satisfy? Does that satisfy the question?
It does not.
No.
So
Okay. Okay.
we'll dive deeper and we'll answer some amazing questions here on this true crime. I mean, on this Two Young Pastors podcast about
True crime.
who Jawan is. Who was
Yeah.
Jawan? Who was Jawan? If Jawan, if you were Jawan of 20 years ago, we're talking about Jawan when he was 9, right?
Yeah.
Who, what made up 9-year-old Jawan? What was 9-year-old Jawan into? Did 9-year-old Jawan like the Ravens back then? Did he like football? Was 9-year-old Jawan a student? Like what was 9-year-old Jawan like?
Yeah. So I mean, I can easily say that I was in a fourth grade at this point, fourth and part of fifth grade because I have a late birthday. Um, part fourth, part fifth grade. And what's interesting is that went to public school.
Hmm.
And going back to being a black man. All right, going back to being a black man.
Let's go back there.
Um, what's funny is that back in elementary school, if you were dark skinned like me, you used to get made fun of. Like people used to call you African booty scratchers, right?
Bro, I forgot about that.
Yeah, bro. Like, and I was just dark enough, to make the cut, to, to make the cut. So, man, what's interesting? Fourth grade was actually the year that I started to gain weight. My dad was a truck driver. And up until this point, my weight wasn't bad. But I think, when my dad, this summer, I wasn't active. I wasn't active. And I knew that I and my brother, me more times than my brother, because one, I worshiped my father, my late
Hmm.
father, might I add. And because he was a truck driver, I always wanted to be there.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a truck driver when I
yeah.
grew up. I was just so enamored by it.
Really?
And bro, I was obsessed. I was obsessed. But that was actually the first summer. That was the first summer where I started to gain like an excess amount of weight.
Hmm.
And so I went into fourth grade heavier. And it was different. It was different.
Yeah.
But it was interesting times. It was interesting times. I wasn't a Ravens fan at the time. I don't think I became a Ravens fan until I was about 10. I
Hmm.
think that's when I really became conscious of like football.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I certainly was like an anime watcher though. Uh,
Mm.
anime had anime had me in a chokehold. Anime had me in a chokehold, bro. And I think Power Rangers probably had me in a chokehold too.
Yeah. Go
Um,
go Power
like
Rangers.
do 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 do. Yes. So like I was like when I say I was obsessed with Power Rangers, I would sometimes break the Sabbath in the morning
Oh.
to try to sneak and watch the latest episode of Power Rangers. Um,
Mm.
and I'm talking about like I was obsessed with like the Red Ranger. Because the Red
Mhm.
Ranger always got like the super cool like battleizer.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you remember, but like the Red Ranger always got like this super cool power up that no other
Yeah.
Ranger got,
Yeah.
except for Tommy. Tommy from like the original one.
Yeah.
When he was the Green Ranger, then he became the
White. Yeah.
White Ranger, and
That was
you
interesting, by the
know
way.
it,
Yeah, yeah,
it was, but like after that, Like for some odd reason, the only Ranger that ever got anything cool was the Red Ranger, and the Red
Yeah.
Ranger was always the one who was in charge. Always the one who was leading. No other color aside from Tommy. Like
The white
aside
one.
from
The white the
yeah,
White Ranger.
exactly. And then he ended up becoming a Red Ranger later on. So like, like it's kind of crazy. But I was a kid, like
Mm.
any other guy who had my favorite shows, who had my favorite things. I think like life definitely slowed down for me. Like when I was a kid, when I was younger, I definitely used to be outside. I was outside a lot more. I was
Yeah.
hanging out a lot more. But what ended up happening is this. See, what ended up happening is, wow, it's about to get real.
Ooh.
Both my neighbors on both sides ended up moving away at a certain time.
Okay.
Um, my neighbors on my left side,
Uh-huh.
they moved away because someone broke into their house.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then the neighbors on my right side, they were actually they were older. The people
Yeah.
who owned the house, they were older, and they ended up having health complications, both of them, and they both passed away. They both passed
Oh,
away.
no. Mhm.
Um, and so when they passed away, they had to kind of sort of like sell the house, and then someone broke into it, and so
Oh.
someone ended up break. I grew up in the hood. I live in the hood, so like or hood adjacent.
Yeah.
So that those were some interesting things that happened around this time. I
Wow.
also
Okay.
think that around this time, my dad, his alcoholism was like beginning to really peak. It was
Mhm.
really going up because, like I said, my next door neighbors passed. Why is that important? The reason why it's important is because just a couple of years prior, my grandmother passed
Oh,
away.
wow.
And my father always had like parent issues. And this is
Mhm.
something that I found out later on in life. But he had parent issues because he did not know his father. And
Mm.
that's something that really messed him up, that he never knew his dad.
Yeah.
He was the youngest of eight. He was the youngest of eight, and he
That's
never knew his father.
sheesh.
He had a stepfather, but he always had like this attitude of that's not my father.
Yeah.
That's not my father. And so it was something that he was embittered about. And so when my grandmother passed, he went deeper into his alcoholism. Yes, my dad was an alcoholic. For those of you who are listening, it gets real dark real fast. It gets real
Mm.
dark real fast. But my dad was an alcoholic, and what ends up happening is my grandmother passes away. He starts to drink more. He starts to smoke more, and you think that he would lean into his family a bit more.
Mhm.
But the problem is that he's insecure about being a father because he never had a dad. And so
Okay.
because he was insecure about being a dad, he found ways to not be present for us.
Mm. Mhm.
And see, here's what happened. He ended up spending more time with my neighbors than he was spending with us. Um, and so I don't know if you can imagine seeing your dad spend more time with other people than he spent with you.
Wow.
Um, and
I can't imagine that, man.
what's interesting is you begin to see it as like it just is what it is because you don't know any better. Like you don't know any
Really?
better. So you kind of sort of just like, oh, I guess that's what dads do. Like they don't spend as much time with family. But like it becomes to like have it becomes a point of tension
Mhm.
because you begin to see other families and you see other parents interacting with their children
Right.
and you see them interacting in a certain way, and there's more time that's spent there. There's certain emotions that
Mhm.
are displayed. And Elijah, what's interesting is as I remember, like my father was only affectionate, like truly affectionate,
Mhm.
like identifying how he felt about us
Mhm.
when he was drunk.
That is wild.
Like I promise you not, bro. Like he would get drunk out of his mind, and he would always sit us down, and he would give us the same stories, the same couple of points each time where he talked about like how everything he does for us is because he loves us.
Mm.
And his time in the Marines were difficult, but you know he made it through because he loved us. We
Hmm.
weren't born yet, by the way. We weren't born yet, by the way. But he made it through because he loved us.
Yeah. The
And
idea of y'all,
let's go along with that. Let's go along
maybe.
with that. And it's interesting. It's interesting.
That is.
So you know, I did not know how much that really messed me up.
Mm.
At the time, I didn't know how much that really messed me up because, like I said, at the time, I was just a kid wanting to watch my shows, Power Rangers,
Hmm.
not Naruto, you
Yeah.
One Piece, like these shows that came on like Toonami, came on Cartoon Network,
Yeah. Yeah.
or Jetix. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
Jetix. That's what Power Rangers used to come on before it came on. It switched over to 4Kids TV and stuff like that. Um, I remember it vividly that you know, there are several things that I'm seeing and that are not okay.
Hmm.
But I mean, I don't necessarily have the words for it, and
Right.
um, I can't necessarily say that oh, this is wrong because it's all I know. It's all I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so, me at 9 years old, it was a very interesting time. It was a very
Right.
interesting time because, truth be told, I was forced to grow up much faster than I should have
That's.
been forced to grow up.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I was a kid, but there were certain aspects about my life that no kid should ever have to go through. That no
Hmm.
kid should ever have to be. That
To
should
deal
never
with.
have to experience.
Yeah.
Yet you know, me and my siblings, we found ourselves, you know, experiencing these things.
Mm.
And so it's not just the fact that my father was alcoholic. It's not just the fact that my father was spending more time with other people, but it's the fact that in addition to all these things, um, he and my mom like were constantly at it. And as the years were going by,
Hmm.
it was increasing because my mom, you know, God like bless her. My mom, you know, she was the responsible parent within the household. That's
Hmm.
what she was. And so she was the one who made sure that we were in church. She was the one who made sure that the bills were paid. Like she was the one, like the house is in her name. Okay.
Hmm.
And because of that, like she's responsible. But my father, on the other hand, was irresponsible. He would spend like too much money on alcohol,
Mm.
like too much. And he will always tell us these lies about how he had money left here in certain places, or he had gifts waiting for us. And as a kid, I believed it. I was like, "Hey, Dad,
I
I'm
mean,
ready.
yeah.
Let's go see it." And it's not until like I became an adult and I was like, he was lying. He was lying. You
Yeah.
know, he was lying. Um, and so it was an interesting time for me, bro. It was an interesting
Interesting.
time.
Yeah.
And what I did not know is that there were certain issues that were developing within me as a result of that.
Hmm.
Like I learned how to be a people pleaser very early. I learned how like I developed an approval addiction very early
Mm.
because I had to do certain things
Hmm.
in order to get my dad's attention.
Wow. Like,
Um,
like what?
so like I had to show interest in what he did for a living
Mm.
to get affirmations from it.
Hmm.
Like, you know, I think as I reflect as I've reflected on what I was doing as a child, I think a part of the reason why I was so, you know, into trucks is because I knew that well, if he's into it,
Then.
you know, like we'll have something to connect on,
Hmm.
you know. And so as a child, I was conscious of the fact that hey, I need to do certain things in order to get affirmation, in order
Right.
to get recognized by my parents.
Hmm.
Um, And so I think that that's really it. That's really it. For me. And so I learned very early. Um, it if you want people to love you, you have to go the extra mile to get them
Mm,
to love you.
earn.
You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
gotta earn it.
Love's a bit
Gotta
earned.
earn it.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's because, and like growing up, I wasn't the handsomest kid in the classroom. You
Mhm,
know, like I think like I was a good late bloomer, and certain things began to make sense as I got older. But
mhm.
when I was a kid, I mean, like dark skin, like no matter where, no matter what culture you're in, if you even if you're dark skinned Indian, like
Yeah.
you know how it is. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they are not seen the same as lighter Indians.
It's different. It's different. Yeah.
and and so as a result, you see like, especially in black culture, I know it's the same in Indian culture, because it's the same in every culture. Um, like you see light skinned guys getting all the attention. You know, girls not saying that you look attractive and things like that. And
Mhm.
so me, I don't have any confidence. I
Yeah.
don't have any confidence,
Yeah.
and I don't really remember my parents really ever affirming me. Um, just to affirm.
Mm.
Um, I remember being affirmed after certain things were done.
Wow.
And so like I said, it taught me that I had to earn
Mhm,
not even just love, Elijah. I had to learn acknowledgement. Like in order for me to be acknowledged,
mhm.
in order for me to feel valued, I thought I had to work for it.
Wow.
Um, and so in a number of situations, I didn't know how to work for it, so I kept my mouth shut. But in other situations where I did know how to work for it,
Mhm.
I I worked, and at times I overcompensated, but I worked. Um, and so to answer your question, bring it all together.
Yeah.
Nine was an interesting year, bro. 20 years ago,
That's a lot. Yeah.
interesting times, bro.
Yeah.
Because as a child, I'm experiencing things, I'm experiencing emotions, I'm experiencing a reality that
Right.
no child in any family should have to see.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to put up with that stuff, and
No.
it's difficult. It's difficult,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah.
M Man, you, gave a lot of in-depth stuff that you remember when you were 9, bro. Like, I
Mhm.
gotta be honest, I don't think that I could give that much of in-depth stuff happening at 9. So,
Mhm.
the fact I think what I'm hearing is that at 9, you were aware. Like, you were 100% aware
Yeah,
of what was happening around you, and you were sensitive
could have
to
been.
it more than
Mhm.
more than, I would say I was when I was 9.
I I think it's also the therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy also helps because, like, I when you've hashed over certain stories and certain events enough,
Mhm.
it makes it easier to remember them,
Yeah.
to remember some of the things. And I will tell you, there are times where like I've remembered, like oh my goodness, I completely forgot that happened.
Mhm.
That was my childhood, and it's just
Yeah.
because like certain parts of the childhood were hard. They were
Yeah.
hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was in therapy, I think maybe was it last year? And I think the year prior, um, I think one of the reasons why I recognized I had to go to therapy
Mhm.
is because when I was looking back on who I used to be,
Mhm.
I was extremely angry. I
Yeah.
was extremely angry. I was angry with, like, I felt that I was pathetic. Um, yeah, like I felt that I was pathetic. I felt that the people pleaser was absolutely worthless.
Mm.
And so I was so upset that I allowed certain people to do certain things and say certain things to me. I was upset that I would at times lie, like about who I was or what I had just so I could fit in.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
and I mean, like, I was broke. You
Mhm.
know, I wish at the time I just embraced it. I don't know how you embrace it,
There's
but uh,
there's really
you
no way,
know,
man. Like, you have to,
yeah.
yeah.
And when you're in school and your friends are talking, not even friends, classmates are talking about you, because you don't have this or that,
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, bro, I do vividly remember like several parts of the story, several
Yeah.
parts.
So, I mean, like, we have everything, like, we're trying to spend time in the podcast getting to know a little bit about who we are, as we talk about pastoral ministry, but we can't really talk about pastoral ministry without talking about the personal impacts, right, that we've
Yeah,
gone through, because that really affects how we minister. How
yeah,
how has, as you kind of move from 9 to like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? You're going into high
yeah,
school, you're going past middle school now. Um, did it impact you in a way where, because you went to public school, right?
man. For most of my life, yeah. I only went to private school, Adventist school, seventh and eighth grade,
Hmm.
seventh and eighth grade, which I believe was necessary. I do,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you went to public school, and high school too, right?
yeah,
How? I mean, you went through all of that at 9, and I'm guessing that over that time, it just kind of intensified, right? Because you said that your
yeah,
dad was just like, the alcoholism was just starting to take off. You're in high school,
yeah.
you're a senior, maybe. Like,
So,
where? Yeah.
I know we're talking about like our stories and the things that have impacted us. It got to a point where, like, let's say by 10, I think my father he ended up leaving us around when I was 10, fifth grade. Um, and the reason is because it got to a point where he and my mom were just arguing so much. Like I'm talking about like those arguments that make children cry. I remember going into my sister's room one day and just crying with her because we like they were going after each other,
Mm,
yelling, and it's so crazy that you don't know how much crap you pick up when you're a kid,
mm,
and how unhealthy and toxic it is, because like you because you see it, because you don't really know that, like, that what they're doing is not okay, but like I remember I ended up like being toxic like that um a few years ago, and it's
mm,
because of what I saw from them. And so like the alcoholism got worse. My mom's one of her main things was stop drinking,
mhm,
stop spending your paychecks on alcohol.
mhm,
Like, like we have kids, we need to be able to pay for the house.
mhm,
Like we got this house because we have a big family, and or a sizable family. It was four of us, four kids at least, and it's just like my father was not being a father. He wasn't being a
mm.
father, and what ended up happening is that his alcoholism got so bad that he began to collapse at different places around the house. He was so drunk that he would fall. And
Wow.
this is really graphic. This what I'm about to share is really graphic. So you know, uh I remember one day he was so drunk that he came into my room. He thought it was the bathroom and he literally peed on the TV.
Wow.
As I was watching it, I was right next to him, and he just undid his pants and he peed on my TV. Um, and at the time, I was just like, "This is wild."
Yeah.
But as I look back, I'm like,
Mm.
How how immature do you have to be that you would allow yourself to get that drunk,
Mm.
that you would go and pee on your not in the bathroom. You missed the bathroom.
Yeah.
You instead go to your son's room and you pee on his TV. And so you see it and it's bad. Instances like that would happen. Instances where like he's grasping for different things to hold him up because he can't walk straight. And I remember
Mm.
one day, one Saturday, going getting ready for church. We're literally about to leave,
Mhm.
and because he's drunk early in the morning, first thing in the
Mhm.
morning, like talking like 9-ish, because my mom used to make sure that we were at Sabbath school,
Mhm.
and we were there as early as 9:15 at times, because she
Mhm.
was the Sabbath school superintendent.
Mhm.
I remember like we had a grandfather clock. If you know
Mhm.
what a grandfather clock, it's those tall clocks.
Yeah.
Because he was so unstable, he he grabbed the grandfather clock and he collapsed and it fell on top of him.
Mhm.
And my mom is overwhelmed, and we're just like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Your kid should not be asking their dad if he's okay because he's getting that drunk, right?
Same. Yeah.
Um, and so it got to a point, it was one day he collapsed. And whenever he would fall, I had this habit of calling my mom to tell her,
Mhm.
dad fell, dad fell. And my mom, she said that I called her this one time, and she said it was the final time. She
Mm.
said that she said that I sounded so scared, and she was like, "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep putting my kids to this." And so she filed for divorce.
Wow.
Um, and there might be some Christians who are like, "A divorce? Um, Christians shouldn't get divorced." All right, shut up. First and
Mhm.
foremost, um, if I don't, you can't help a person who doesn't want to help themselves.
Mm.
He was legitimately destroying my family. Um, and she filed for divorce. The craziest thing is that like we all understood, yeah, this needs to happen.
Mhm.
Like I'm 10 years old and I'm sad, but I'm also like, this is the best thing that can happen for my family, for our
Yeah.
family. Him no longer being here and the way that he is here. And so what ended up happening after that is yes, my mom filed for divorce. But my father, being the petty and prideful man that he is, because my mom filed for divorce, he promised. He said, "I will never step back in that house again."
Wow.
And so he abandoned us. He abandoned us, and he left us. Um, and this is crucial because up until this point, he was becoming more and more scarce.
Mhm.
He and my mom would have an argument, and he would leave for a day. He and my mom would have an argument. He would leave for a week. He and my mom would have an argument, and he would leave for a couple of days. And
Yeah.
we're wondering where he is. His other daughter, who he had from a previous marriage, will be calling us and asking us, "Hey, do you know where Dad is?" And we'll be like,
Wow.
"No, we also don't know where he is." And um, these things, you don't when you're young, you don't really know what they're doing to you.
Mhm.
But I can tell you, I did not think that I was valuable.
Mm.
I didn't think that I was valuable, bro.
Yeah.
And so you're right. It intensified. Um, it intensified, and at that point, I was like, I don't need a dad. Um, I, I was like, I don't need a dad.
Mhm.
Like, I can do better by myself. Like,
Yeah.
if this is what dads do, I'm
Mhm.
good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, and so I always had this problem of wanting to be grown or wanting to be farther along or have
Mhm.
access to certain things before I was ready.
Mm.
And it's because, like when I was a kid, I felt like it's not like I could trust my parent,
Yeah.
like, and so, dude, that really messes you up. It really
Yeah.
messes you up. And I mean, I could talk about the way I am now because I processed through it quite like very well. Um, but there was so much. There was so much there.
Mhm.
So much there. And talking about school, my grades in school were trash.
Mhm.
Like, I joke often, and you heard me
You
talk
do.
about how bad
Yeah.
I was in school.
Yeah.
Bro, my parents weren't telling me like, "Hey, do well in
Grades are.
school."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't you know how parents typically check over your work or do
Mhm.
work? That was
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were. That's not who they were. Um, my mom didn't have the bandwidth, didn't have the time, and my dad just was not there.
Mhm.
And then my mom got remarried a couple of years later to another man child. God bless his soul. Like he's growing in some ways, but he was still an emotionally mature adult. And because of that, like I was saying, yo, I don't need a father figure. Like I don't respect
Yeah.
like certain individuals,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm doing terribly in school, but I know I'm smart.
Mhm.
But I'm doing terribly in school because I don't have drive. I don't know why I'm going to school because like no one is really identifying like how school is supposed to really help me.
Mhm.
Um, but I know I'm intelligent and I
Yeah.
know I'm smart. And going back to being a people pleaser, I learned that smart people get respect and acknowledgement from other people. So I at least wanted to be smart,
Yeah.
but I didn't connect that, hey, forget about what other people think. You need to make sure that you have good grades.
Mhm.
And so I was struggling a lot, bro. I was struggling.
Man,
Um, yeah.
you're. I mean, that was deep, bro. Like, first of all, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing, man.
Mm,
Your 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 story, I can definitely see how it has impacted your ministry and the way that you minister because you focus a lot on giving great counseling advice and giving great
mm,
advice and giving relationship. I think you did a whole series on it this past year, right? On the cuffed, um what's it
last year.
called?
Uncuffed. Uncuffed.
Uncuffed last year.
Mm-mm,
Um
mm-mm.
and man, like I can see how it kind of speaks into your ministry. What was that transition like from like did you always know like from 9 that you wanted to be a pastor? Or was that something that happened at the end? Or was it a recent transition? Because like I would love to know at what point in that experience, right?
Yeah.
That you're hey, I want to be a pastor. When a lot of times we're referencing God as Father, right?
Yeah,
As
I don't really do that.
okay, okay.
I don't refer like if I do it, it's just because like that's just like the typical thing to do.
Mhm.
Like I know like if I pray, I'll say Heavenly Father, God in heaven.
Right.
But I say that because I started doing that in college,
Mhm,
and that's just how I start off my prayers. But I don't look at God as Father.
mhm.
I don't.
Yeah.
I look at him more as like a friend. But okay, so all right, so I didn't want to be a pastor, when I was younger.
Mhm.
When I was younger, I always was passionate about psychology. Because of like what my father was going through and crap like that, I always was questioning why do people do the things that they do? And so I was first interested in psychology. That's what I was always first interested in. That
Wow.
yeah, that
Gotcha.
drive that drove me. And so this is why psychology really shows up in a lot. Mental health shows up, mental and emotional health shows up a lot in how I preach. Because I I also grew up in a household with my mom where once again I love her to death, and I also realized that she knew a lot about the Bible, and yet she was not like emotionally mature in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
recognized that she still had a lot to go through, and so here's what I recognize, bro. That it's not just her, but I'm in a denomination full of individuals who um who know a lot about the Bible,
Mhm.
but are not healthy human beings, emotionally speaking and mentally speaking.
Mm.
Um, there's so much brokenness. There's so much like internal and there's so much internal like conflict that's going on within so many individuals, and it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy, and so I knew I always had a passion for psychology, and because I was Christian, I was like, "Yo, I should become a
Yeah.
Christian psychologist."
Yeah.
Um, and so that was the plan. What ends up happening is that in high school, maybe I could say yeah, in high school, my pastor at the time was Pastor Patrick Graham. Um, and here's the thing: I always shined in church, right? I always shined in church.
Mhm.
I always had a personality that drew people in. Okay, I wasn't trying at this
Mhm.
point because once again, I wasn't trying at this point because I essentially mastered people pleasing,
Mhm.
right? Um, I mastered approval addiction, so I knew how to do certain things to get people interested. I
Yeah.
knew how to do certain things to get individuals approval. Um, and at this point, I guess you could say that as a if you practice it long enough, it becomes who you
That's true.
are. And so in church, I was always good at, for some odd reason, drawing other people, especially young people, to me, um, and getting like if I'm like, hey, let's do this, other people will be on board.
Mhm.
I was involved a lot in church, and Patrick Graham, the senior pastor at the time, he, I think I was probably in the 11th grade, and I just like to be involved in church
Mhm.
because when I was younger, I was obsessed with being the center of attention.
Mm.
Here's what I mean by that. I would always, and it wasn't just church. I would always envision what would it be like for me to be up on stage? What would it be like for me to be the choir director or to be the soloist or to be the preacher? What would it be like for me to be doing the thing that is making so many people happy?
Mhm.
Approval addiction, right? Like I can't help it. Like I envision being in front of people and hearing claps. I
Yeah.
envision
Yeah.
being in front of people and hearing applause, right? And so, church, it was easy. It was easy to do that.
Mhm.
Um, and got to a point where he said that he saw the calling for pastoral ministry in my life.
Mhm.
And I did not know what pastoral ministry was. I just thought that it was just preaching.
Mhm.
I just thought it was preaching on Saturdays. And I was like, no, I'm scared because I don't think I can do that. Um,
Mm.
I can't be in front of people like that, you know. I could do like the prayers or like the welcomes, but preaching, I was like, yeah,
It's different.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard. So when he saw it, when he said that to me and he said he saw it, I was like, okay, okay. This was 11th grade. This was 11th grade. Um, but Pastor Graham, he played such a vital role in my life
Yeah.
that I was like, I mean, if he sees it, I could be open to it.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening, I go into 12th grade and he brings it back up again. And he's about to become the youth director of the conference. And he's like, hey, listen, I'm willing to offer you and I'm willing to offer my friend Alan a scholarship. Y'all can come work with me every summer,
Yes.
um, until you graduate from Oakwood
Mhm.
and, just go to ministry. And so I was like, all right, I I really didn't have like a strong plan up to that point, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what college was up until that
Until
point.
yeah, yeah.
Like some people have done college visits, things like that. Some people at least just been to I had never been to a college.
Yeah.
Like like my mom, she was in her first year of undergrad at Baltimore City Community College,
Mhm.
BCCC,
Yeah.
when she had my brother, my oldest brother Darian, right? And so she didn't finish. My brother Darian, he also went to BCCC. He didn't finish. My sister Jasmine, she went to BCCC, didn't finish.
Mhm.
And so I didn't know what college was.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Um, but I was all right. If he said this, and I was like, I think at this time I was really trying to lean into God anyway, really trying to become a better person, trying to focus more because 11th grade was the worst year of my life. I think I probably had the lowest GPA I had ever had
Wow.
um, in any quarter.
Really?
I think I finished one quarter with like a 1.8 GPA. And
What?
what happened, yeah, and because of that, um, I had a cumulative GPA at that point of 2.0. Um,
Wow.
and here's like I said, school wasn't hard.
You
I
just
just didn't know
weren't.
what I was doing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it wasn't clicking. You should be doing your work.
Right. I mean, you
Like
had other things like your whole life. Yeah.
like the only thing that I was just trying to get at that time, I was just trying to be accepted. I was
Yeah.
just trying to be acknowledged. So I was so busy trying to just be acknowledged and be accepted. I wasn't able to do the thing that you were supposed to do at school.
Yeah.
Um, and so that last year, senior year, he reiterated it, and I had already made the declaration. This is going to be the year that
Mhm.
I get my life together.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prove to myself that I could, because up
Mhm.
until this point, I had never really done great all year long.
Mm.
All year long, I'd never done great in school. And so, senior year, I was like, all right. And I think like this was the year that it happened. I think I got like all A's. I think mostly
Let's
either
go.
A's, A minus. I think I may have gotten a B plus maybe once. But I was like, dude, school's easy.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I always knew I was smart. I just
The
I
application.
couldn't focus.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
focus.
Wow.
Um,
So what's your GPA jump to if you got all straight A's? This is just me
so
asking.
like, bro, it went from a 2.0 to a 2.33
Hey.
because it was that bad. It was that bad.
Yeah.
So I finished with a 2.3 GPA,
Mhm.
and so and what ends up happening is because I'm praying, I already like am
Mhm.
shifting and saying, all right, I'm gonna go into ministry. I know I'm also passionate about psychology, and so I was telling people double major,
Mhm.
theology and psychology. Right? Pastor Graham said he saw the calling for ministry in my life. Cool. I don't really have a plan anyway.
Yeah. Might as
So
well.
I'm going to college based on his recommendation of what he
Yeah.
says he's seeing. Because up to this point, I don't really have a solid plan myself.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that Oakwood was a real college. I
Mhm.
thought it was just a place where people went if they wanted to be a pastor. I thought it was just a pastor school.
Yeah.
Okay, like this is how much like education was kind of sort of bare in my household, and
Yeah.
not and how I was just not paying attention.
Mhm.
I was just not paying attention. Um, but bro, I applied to Andrews. I applied to Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah,
and I
Union.
applied to and I applied to Oakwood. I initially wanted to get in Andrews because a person told me that Andrews was better than Oakwood.
Mhm.
And I always had this idea of I want to be in the best place. I
Yeah.
want to be where the best are, right?
Yeah.
Even though I didn't have the good grades, I wanted to be in the best. So God blessed me because I'm smart. My ACT scores, my SAT scores was good. My GPA were
Praise
just
God.
terrible.
Yeah.
And so what happened is that Andrews was like, "Yo, so we can't accept you because like your GPA is essentially garbage.
Yeah.
Like you're waitlisted because like your scores your
Or
test scores
s
were good,
Yeah.
but like yeah, like we
Your
can't."
academic.
So
Yeah. Wow.
I was like, God, whichever school accepts me first, I'll go there.
Mhm.
Oakwood, because they got low standards.
That's I don't
Oak,
They gave you a shot. I put it that way. I'd say
they
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 took a
they
chance
gave
on
me a
you.
shot.
Yeah.
They gave me a shot, and they let me in. And I said, hey, well, God, I prayed, hey, wherever. And looking back now, I probably could have gone to community college to save money, but I don't know if it would have been the same.
No.
Um,
We
you
would have
know,
met.
yeah, like,
No, that's
and
just me being
so
selfish.
I went there and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, by the time I'm done, I'm gonna take over the school.
Mm.
Uh, my pride was that hurt because I was like, my GPA in high school was terrible,
Mhm.
and so I was like, it's time for me to like really get this thing together.
Yeah.
And so my first year there, I played around. I was still trying to mature, but sophomore year, man,
Yeah.
that's when everything started.
Yeah.
That year, I got my that year. That's when like we really started to take theology courses, and that's where individuals start to say, "Wow, you give off a real pastor spirit. You have a pastoral spirit about you. You
Mhm.
have a pastoral vibe about you, things like that." Um, and I remember specifically that was the year that I won my that first scholarship for 25,000, and
Mhm.
I got to and I went on BET. And then the
What?
year after that, yeah, bro, there's like
BT for what?
so like there was this award show from the United Negro College Fund called An Evening of Stars, where
Mm.
five students from HBCUs were selected to five students were selected to win $25,000 and share their story to people. And so they flew me out to Atlanta
Wow.
to tell my story. And this is the first time I've ever that was the first time I ever told my story. And
Wow.
which is why it's easier for me to tell it now because
You said
I've
it.
been telling it since 2014, 2015, 2015.
Mm.
Um, and so that really things really took off for me there. Things really took off for me there. Um, so had this amazing award show that was on BET. I met a couple of nice celebrities. They flew my
Mhm.
mom and my stepdad down, and it
Wow.
was really dope. And then like the following year, I got accepted into an education fellowship, an education reform fellowship with UNCF.
Mhm.
Then the following year, I became Mr. Oakwood, and I
Hey.
became HBCU All Star,
Yeah.
and that was it. And then I got sponsored,
And
and
then
got sponsored. I didn't even had like it's here's what's interesting because you said like you were doing the interviews. I didn't do anything,
I know.
you know,
Privilege.
like like by the time I was done at Oakwood, like the things that I had accomplished were enough for the conference. They said, "Hey, we know, we know." Like, and they said, "Hey, we we wanna bring you
I
on."
want you. Yeah.
You know, like we're gonna interview you, but it's just more so for HR reasons.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just like all right,
Mm.
you know. And so I didn't have to go through the things that, like, I remember I had friends who were like stressed,
Mhm.
and like I remember Pelk
Yeah.
2017. that December, everyone was just like, "The conference talked to you yet? The conference talked to you. Bro, everyone's talking about you getting sponsored.
Wow.
Everyone's talking, you know." And yeah, they confirmed it, and that was it. So
Hey.
like ever since I was at Oakwood, like the goal was, yo, you're gonna be a pastor.
Yeah.
Like I followed what Pastor Graham said,
Mm.
and I believe that God had confirmed the call through several different people and a couple of different experiences that I had that first year, and it just kept me all the way through.
Mm.
And then I just stayed the course.
Yeah.
Finished 5 years later. Five finished school 5 years later. You know, after studying two things, theology and psychology, and then I went to Andrews and finished in 2021.
Yeah. And
And
then
so yeah, here we are. There are some other things, lessons, and impactful experiences that have happened along the way, but I'm sure that we'll have another opportunity to really
oh
dig
yeah.
deep into some of the some of the crap that
Yeah.
I've been through, put myself through,
Yeah.
you know. And so yeah, man, that's really how we got here today. That's how we
That's
got here
the
today.
summary-ish of
Yeah.
the that's not even a summary. That's just a couple of highlights really of the Jajuan story, man. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I am thank you for sharing, man. Like we talk a lot, but there was some stuff in there that I had not heard before. So I was like, dang, you went through wow, and you did. And I was like, wow. So I appreciate you, man. If you're listening or you're watching, this is just a part of us going into our stories.
Yeah.
And Jawan just shared a tiny fraction of what he was going through. Last episode, I shared a small bit as well, but we want to just share as much as possible with you guys. So if you have any questions, if you have any like, hey, what'd you go through in this age, or what do you think about this when you were younger? Please ask us. We want to know. We want to hear it. So please ask us,
Mhm.
so that we can answer them. We want to be as open as possible. Now there are some things that
Sure.
we probably won't go into, like I don't know, when our first kiss was, um,
I mean, that's childish.
yeah, actually, I'm not sure that either. But like
I don't even know if I remember.
I we'll come back to
First
that
real
one.
kiss, or like if you're playing like doctor with the other kids and you're when you're a kid.
No, I'm talking like first real kiss,
Okay. Okay.
but we'll save that
Okay.
one because we're gonna
I don't remember. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we'll we'll, we'll make sure
I
that.
really don't. I really don't remember. That's why I'm like, I don't remember.
Oh dang, she was that special, huh? Just
Oh,
Mr.
dang,
Oakwood
bro.
got all the girls is what I'm hearing. Mr. Oakwood got all the girls, which is okay. As we continue on with the end of the episode, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this Two Young Pastors podcast, y'all. We're gonna do a special Christmas episode, so you want to make sure that you listen to that next. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Jawan, as always, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for not only being the co-creator of
Yes, sir.
the Two Young Pastors podcast, but be my friend. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for partnering with ministry. And if this podcast has blessed you, if you like it, if you just like listening to it, make sure you like, share, and
Like,
subscribe to the Two Young Pastors
share.
podcast so that you can get an update on when we put these out. We're gonna be more consistent moving forward. Every Tuesday and Thursday, an episode will be published, so you guys can go ahead and click that.
Tuesday and Thursday, or
Tuesday and
Tuesday and
Friday.
Thursday.
Tuesday and
Tuesday
Friday.
and Friday. I think it's Tuesday
Tuesday
and
and
Friday.
Friday.
Did we
Tuesday
say?
and
Did
Friday.
we say Thursday?
No, we didn't. No, we did not. I think my brain just messed up. Tuesday and Friday, y'all.
I don't. Brain fart.
Yeah. So Tuesday and Friday, y'all. Make sure that you always hit that bell notification thing so that you know when it pops up. We're on iTunes, and we're on Apple Podcast. We're on Spotify as well. and on YouTube in case you can't watch it. You can always listen to it. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you on the flip side on the next one, y'all. See you later.
Peace.